Welcome to the Week 9 recap. Baltimore Ravens versus the Seattle Seahawks. Freaking domination. 37-3 victory for the Ravens at home in front of a huge packed house at the bank. Moves the Ravens to 7-2 and just continue our lead in the AFC North. And now we are the number 2 seed in the AFC.
And we're not just number 2. We're number 2, but we're tied for first.
Yes, the only reason we're number 2 is because Kansas City's number 1 and their AFC conference record is better with the tiebreaker because we have both our losses are to AFC teams, and they only have one to an AFC team.
Yep. And you know what? The way it's looking, I don't know if we'd win, but I'd be very confident playing the Chiefs. Especially at home.
I don't care. Right now, we're as hot as anybody can be. And I don't know if that's, I hope we can just continue on it because you don't want to just, get really hot in the middle of the year and then fizzle out when it, becomes important in playoff time. I think the biggest thing at this point is just staying healthy. I think all Ravens fans were gasping for air when they saw Lamar get up limping after that one run in the third quarter.
I had to just put my phone down at a certain point and just only watch the game and stop looking at social media because it was stressing me out, man. And our group chat was stressing me out too. Not even gonna lie.
Yeah, it felt like early on in the game it was going to be a battle, and then second quarter came and we just put it on them.
It wasn't even like it was just so different from all the other games we played this year because it instead of starting strong and finishing kind of cold, we started cold and finished red hot, which is like kind of something that we haven't seen in a while. That kind of reminds me of like when we would play some of those games in 2019 where we would like kind of like maybe the first quarter would be close and then the rest of the game we'd just run away with it. I specifically remember being at a couple of games that year, the Texans game being one of them, the Jets game being another one of them, and they were just kind of like that. I remember the Texans game especially, I think it was like 14-7 or like something really close at halftime where you really thought it was still going to be a game, if I'm remembering correctly. And then we just ran away with it. Maybe it was the first quarter where it was 14-7, but it was the one where we just blew out Deshaun Watson and the Texans. I remember DeAndre Hopkins had like a OPI or a DPI that was not called against him, and that was kind of like the turning point of the game.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like we're that same type of team where we.
So the first quarter, it was 0-0 scoreless, right? Our defense, was playing lights out the entire game. They didn't start off slow. It was just mainly the offense. Kind of started off with a punt, or no, we started off 2 punts. We got 1 first down on our first 2 drives. And then that third drive that we got, which was in the second quarter, we went on a 12-play, 81-yard drive, finished it off with the touchdown to Gus Edwards up the middle. And that was huge. We'll go up 7-0. Then we get a Geno Stone interception. Geno to Geno. I said it in the title on the last episode. With a real Geno, please stand up. And he did in the second quarter. And then right after that, we're like, you know what? We're not going to make it that easy on ourselves. We're going to give it right back to you. And we fumble it after Lamar Jackson gets strip sacked because our boy Ronnie Stanley just got smoked by Mafe. And then they got the ball and they went, and our defense, didn't care. 3 and out. We had a sack on that one by Owe. Then we come back, second quarter still, score a touchdown. We drove it down the field, 10-play, 84-yard drive, and get another Gus Edwards right up the middle touchdown. Two touchdowns on the goal line for Gus Edwards. He's a beast.
Gus Edwards wasn't even the story of the game, though. Let's talk about the real story of the game. The guy we've been waiting for since week 1, since the preseason, Keaton Mitchell, comes out, has a 40-yard touchdown, a 60-yard rush, goes for 134, I believe.
138.
138? Okay.
On 9 carries.
9 carries. And Gus Edwards only had it was less than 10.
He had 5 carries for 52 yards and 2 touchdowns.
So that 1-2 punch is looking very, very promising. I know it's only been one game.
Keaton Mitchell has definitely arrived in a fashion that we've not seen from any rookie running back, and he was undrafted.
You could
more
say
at this point, I would say he's almost more exciting than J.K. Dobbins ever was.
Right. If he can continue to play like this and stay healthy, God willing, J.K. Dobbins might not have a job in Baltimore, because I've been someone who's said that we'll give him a prove it deal. But if Keaton Mitchell's that good, we might not even bother. Because, yeah. By the way, I do want to clarify, when I was talking about it being 14-7, I was talking about the Texans game, not this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my initial reaction is that the Seattle Seahawks are frauds. They are not a top team in the NFL. I don't care what you say. Their record is so deceiving. Looking back, just like we said beforehand, they have not beat a single team that is worth anything.
No, what was it? They lost to the Rams. They did beat the Lions. That was a good win. I'm
not sold on the Lions.
I think
the NFC sucks. Besides the Eagles and the Cowboys, maybe, and the 49ers are pretty down right now.
On the Cowboys, I think they should have beaten the Eagles, but
what else is new? They always choke. But
right.
Lamar Jackson is 18-1 versus the NFC. That's not because the NFC is good. It's because the NFC is sorry, and the AFC is that much better.
It's also because we play the AFC teams much more, and when I heard it earlier, I don't remember where, but the one thing that the Ravens do so well is when you're planning defense, you're scripting plays, but we just go off script so often that it's impossible to predict what we're going to do, and we make you sorry for it. So there are some teams like the Steelers or the Browns or the Bengals that are a little more equipped for that. But even the AFC teams that we don't play that often, it's just we're always able to come in with something fresh, and then our defense is just like a python. We'll just choke the life out of them.
But how about us? We have just played good and bad, played to the level of the team that we are playing against. Seattle, 37-3. Detroit, 38-6. Cleveland, 28-3.
Cincinnati, 27-24.
That was the closest game against a good team.
Shouldn't have been that close anyway. It was
and remember they scored one late. We were up by 2 scores, and they scored one late. So it wasn't that close. It was not that close.
No, and we even blew out the Texans. I think the Texans are like that. CJ Stroud proved it to me yesterday.
Yeah, I think we got them at a good time. First game of the season.
And CJ Stroud looks really good consistently. So, I consider that a good win because
I think he's going to be a top quarterback in this league.
It reminds me of Joe Burrow when he was a rookie before he got hurt. Just so calm in the pocket. Always knows what he's doing. He's got the IQ. And what's funny is that everyone made that big deal about that. What was it, that test that he was?
Wonderlic.
No, it wasn't the Wonderlic. It was the N2 cognition test that's supposed to tell if your football IQ is any good. The Wonderlic is just like a SAT. I'm sure it sucks. I've heard.
Ryan just try to make you answer questions as quickly as possible.
Right. I think the S2 test, Peter Schrager did a story on it, but it's like more of a like simulated football scenario kind of thing where you have to break down coverages and your reaction time in your brain. Some crazy AI like detectable things. But what that says is sometimes you just got to let them play. Same with the Ravens. They were saying that the Seahawks were going to be the team. It was their prove it game, right? It was their prove it game. We tend to be a lot of these teams prove it games. Well, no one's proved it against us except for the Steelers. I don't consider the Colts a prove it. So, that's kind of why when I look at the Steelers with their record, I think they're worth their record even though their offense sucks. I go back on, that kind of goes back on what I said a few weeks ago, but they just keep finding ways to win games. And it's annoying, and I hope we get to blow them out the way we blew out the Seahawks. I think initially the one thing that I noticed about this game that was really interesting was just like how dominant Mark Andrews is. He kind of has a little Kelsey in him. Kelsey likes to just like whenever Mahomes scrambles, Kelsey can kind of just know where Mahomes wants the ball. And I think Mark Andrews and Lamar have that connection, and it's more and more evident every time I see them play,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are, they've been, Lamar's had him his whole entire career now. So at this point in year, 5 or 6 or whatever it is,
6, whatever, yeah.
Them two together are just, they're on a different wavelength from the other guys.
Right.
But yeah, the only other thing I was going to say that on a side note, maybe not completely game related, was I love the fact that we had Romo and Nance in the booth. They were great.
Dude, Romo was paying homage to the Ravens all game. He was like,
yes.
Maybe someone was like, you guys need to give him praise. They don't get enough. I don't know.
But it was also like they were giving us the announcer's jinx. The one time they were like, "Oh, this is the greatest defense I've ever seen," and then freaking 50-yard pass to DK Metcalf next play.
I think I even said something about that. I was like, great.
But the other thing was you had Sean Hockley. I thought they did a good job as a crew. I would like to have them going forward more games.
He seemed to call a very honest game. I never felt like when he threw a flag, it was for a bad reason,
Yeah, I didn't see anything that, either way, nothing that he missed, nothing that he called that I thought he shouldn't have. So overall, definitely the best ref game we've had. And definitely when it comes to the playoffs, I would like to see him on our game.
I think something that I learned is that playing at home, our defense is obviously good anywhere, but we feed off of that home energy, and we're like twice as dominant at home.
That's why it's so important that we keep this up, especially these, AFC North matchups. We need to keep this up and get that number 1 seed, because I don't want to see Kansas City in Kansas City. I want to see Kansas City in Baltimore.
I want if like the perfect ideal divisional round matchup for me, I would love to get Cincinnati or Cleveland in Baltimore in the divisional round so that we could put an end to the Bengals are better than the Ravens. The Browns are better than the Ravens. Pittsburgh's not good enough to go that far. I just said they're good. They are good enough to make the playoffs, but they'll have to be at home.
I don't think they – honestly, I don't think that – I think they may not even make the playoffs. But you know who I think I wouldn't mind seeing is Buffalo.
Will they make it that far?
Because of Josh Allen. I think that's the only reason. But other injury news today, they came out with Seymour. He got knocked out. He said Harbaugh said he's pending an MRI, but he doesn't think it's serious. He thinks it's a day-to-day injury. So maybe not this week, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Lamar's fine.
Yeah.
That's the biggest news. And then David Ojabo, Harbaugh said, and quote, the team will be making an announcement shortly regarding his injury. So that probably, means Ojabo's done for the year. He's probably going to end up getting surgery then because it's not getting any better.
As frustrating as that is, I would say it's smart, man. You've had 2 years, 2 injuries. The best thing you can do for yourself is to get better, because if you're not at 100%, you're just going to hurt yourself more and ruin your career in the making, just in the process. Just take the rest of the year off. I know it's tough, especially when our defense is playing this good and you really want to be that impact player. But I think it's the right decision if he decides to get surgery and just come back next year. And I would say the same thing about Marcus Williams, by the way. But
yeah, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. It seems like he's just going to hang around
and
wait till after the season to get surgery, which
if he can play, good for him.
Yeah, I just don't think at this point you can take Geno Stone off the field. So
he's getting a pick every game. He's legitimately good. Like every time we get a pick, it's Geno Stone.
I think he's had 4 games straight with an interception now.
Let's think. Did he get one in London? He did, right?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get one in Pittsburgh, but he got London, he got Detroit, he got it. Yep, 4 games. So
yep. But you want to go ahead and get into offense?
Yeah.
I think the biggest takeaway for me that we kind of hit on was the way that we were able to run the ball, and we did not expect. Like everyone was saying, yeah, we're gonna have to throw the ball on these guys. That's their weakness, kind of, because they had new signing Leonard Williams with Wagner behind him, and they were just going to be really good run defense, and that's kind of what they've been. But we ran for 300 yards. Like
it was, it's kind of reassuring to know that we did that, because in the first quarter it was very tough to run on them, those first couple of drives. And then we still had the game that we did, which just shows, like, stick to the script and we'll be fine,
Yeah. I just think Monken was back in great form. It reminded me of the Detroit game in the way that he was able to adapt throughout the game and make, different unique play calls and just set things up one after another. But as far as Lamar goes, he didn't really have to do too much because we were able to run the ball so well. He made plays when he had to, but he didn't have to make many.
Yeah, and that's something he's never really had the luxury of outside of maybe 2019, because Mark Ingram was so dominant as a runner as well. But it's so heartwarming to see, because you can see Lamar is able to enjoy football again. It really seemed like last year he was focused so much on proving he was worth the contract, and he had to do everything. And then when he got hurt, it was just so soul-sucking. But now he's back and he's got weapons and he's flourishing. He's, making plays when he has to, but he's not having to be Superman every down, every play.
He's just comfortable. He's in a offensive system where it's not all put on him. He's part of a system, and he knows what he has to do. He knows how to disperse the ball. And I just think he's just playing very efficiently. Look, who would have thought that we would score 37 points and Lamar Jackson would not account for a single touchdown?
Right. We only had one. Was it 1 or 2 passing? Well, it was 1 passing.
We had one with Tyler Huntley to OBJ for his first
Mr. Birthday Boy
touchdown as a Raven on his birthday.
We
all knew was going to happen.
So bad after that fumble. And you know what? I'll admit it. I was very upset with him, because that was the second time he had extended with one arm. And the first time I was like, don't do that again. You're going to fumble. And then he fumbled.
Well, I called it on our preview.
Tyler did call it. I'm just going to have to stop doubting anything Tyler says. Tyler just knows so much more about football than I do.
Well, you called the Justin Tucker's 3 field goals, I think.
Yeah, but not from he didn't get a chance for more than 50, which is good on us. I wish he got a chance to prove that he could kick it 55, 57 and still nail it. I'm sure he will against Cleveland or Cincy. But nah, man, I find myself, even though I say not to, sometimes I get too impatient with some of these guys, and I can't keep doing that because they prove me wrong every time. And I'm happy that they do, but I need to have more faith. I hope that Odell now just like continually scores touchdowns. Now, hopefully it won't be a forced thing, and it'll just be more of a natural thing, and it'll result in him having better games, you know?
I mean, this was his best game. He finished as the second leading receiver with 5 catches for 56 yards and a touchdown on 7 targets. So it didn't feel like we forced to get him 50-50 balls this week. It was more getting him shorter passes over the middle, and then, the touchdown. It was nice to see us not just throw 50-50 fades up to him because the success for those are so low, especially when you don't have like Odell's speed that he used to have. So, I think the other thing that is pretty cool to see is Lamar completed a pass to 8 different receivers. 8 different receivers got a pass. Mark Andrews, OBJ, Isaiah Likely, who was our third leading receiver with 4 catches for 42. He had a nice, probably his best game of the season. Yeah, it would be great to see him continue to do that. Rashad Bateman, 3 for 28. Rashad Bateman, by the way, is I know it's not showing up in the stat line, but if you watch the tape, he is getting open, and it's just a matter of time before he goes crazy.
There have been a couple of times where Lamar's thrown a check down or something.
Yeah, he made an amazing catch. He made an amazing catch in the game. Remember the one where he was crossing the field and he had to stop and reach back for it?
Yeah,
in between the middle of the field?
Yeah, no. He's showing what he showed at Minnesota when he was in college that everyone thought they were going to get, but unfortunately didn't because of injury. And if he
you know what was different this game? Zay Flowers, 1 target.
Yeah.
That was kind of maybe that. I don't know if Seattle. I got to watch the all 22, but I'm guessing Seattle made it a point to try to shadow him around and maybe double team him a little bit because we always target him so much.
And guess what? It didn't matter.
And I'll say it, and I'll say it again. If I'm double teaming anybody, it's Mark Andrews against us.
Right. I mean, look. That's what's so difficult about playing us. You double team anyone, then you're going to leave either Mark Andrews or Zay Flowers or Rashad Bateman or OBJ or Isaiah Likely or one of our running backs wide open. And all of those people can make plays if Lamar doesn't decide to himself, So it's like, I know it's super easy to get really excited because this is the version of the offense that we had been talking about all of last year of wanting to see, and all of off. But we have to remember that it's a week-to-week league. Next week is Cleveland. Let's go to 8-2,
Yeah, I think just speaking offensively now, I think all of Ravens Nation can say pretty confidently that Justice Hill should be the third stringer. Keaton Mitchell should now be this basically
split.
The guy that I don't know if it's an even split. I think you still give Gus the majority, but I think Mitchell comes in as that guy to just offset him, and I'd like to see him in the game at the same time.
I don't understand it. Justice Hill and Lamar have some sort of miscommunication. So I'm also like another blessing in disguise with Keaton Mitchell popping up. Maybe that kind of we rely less, like you said, on Justice and really focus on giving the ball to Keaton and Gus.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. if maybe Justice Hill is better at pass protection than them two.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that. I'd like to see Keaton Mitchell maybe be able to do that. That would be nice. But Gus Edwards is reminds me of LeGarrette Blount back in the day in short yardage.
Goal line freak.
You can't stop him.
Right. He's going to find a way in because he's either going to go through you or over you or around you, and you're not going to stop him.
It's almost our version of the tush push from the Eagles.
Right. That's funny. It's funny that you say that because, I feel like ever since the Eagles have been doing it a lot of Ravens fans, including myself, have been like, are we going to do it? We don't have to. We don't have to put Lamar in that kind of situation because we've got players like Gus Edwards. You know?
Yep. And, yeah, dude, I mean, when you can only carry the ball 5 times in a game and 2 of them are touchdowns.
And each of them go for about 10.2 yards. What was it, 10.2 if he had 51 yards?
Yeah, he averaged 10.2, 5 carries for 52.
Yeah.
And 2 touchdowns. He broke one that really kind of offset it a little bit with he had a 42-yard run that he almost broke. If Rashad Bateman I think Bateman thought the play was dead and he was tackled. But if he stayed on his guy, I think that was the guy that made the tackle at the end of the play, and it might have been a touchdown.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. There was one play specifically that I was really happy with Gus. No, I'm trying to think. Maybe it wasn't Gus. Oh, no. Okay. It's been a long day. I apologize. I'm thinking of Keaton Mitchell's 60-yard run where he just gets the ball, he breaks free, and that would have been a touchdown too. He would have probably had 2 long touchdowns if it wasn't, kind of broke down at the end. But was
the other thing that no one really noticed on that play until I know it's been circling around Twitter and stuff after is Tyler Linderbaum took out 3 defenders on that play.
Did he really? I haven't seen that.
Yeah, you got to see it. He took it down, I think, a linebacker, pancaked him. Then he runs up the sideline and knocks out 2 guys at one time.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Tyler Linderbaum was a beast this week.
Let's talk about blocking for a second, because how many times have we seen in the past with the Ravens where we break a big run and then we're looking for the flag and the flag's there? I still look for the flag every time we did. We had 5-6 big runs today or yesterday. Not a single flag on them. Our offensive line is learning how to play the right way and still be effective.
Yeah, I mean, the only negative that I can talk about offensively is Ronnie Stanley's pass protection. I know he had a tough matchup with Mafe. Mafe is a top pass rusher in the NFL right now.
He's a left tackle. Every matchup's going to be tough, man.
I know. It's not going to get any easier, but I'm telling you, Mafe is, he's a dude. And he beats – his strength is Stanley's weakness, the speed rush.
Yeah.
But I will say, as bad as he is in that situation, in the run game, he's still very good.
Yeah, Ronnie Stanley is still a starting caliber left tackle. He just needs to figure his stuff out on passing.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's kind of – I'm wondering if he still has, a lack of flexibility and motion or something like that, and that's what's causing him to not, be back to his old self. But I'm just hoping by the end of this year that he's back and able to go against those top pass rushers, because in the playoffs, you're going to see him.
Yep, you will. When we're having to play, what's his face on the Bengals, Hubbard, or we're having to play the Chiefs or the Jaguars or the Bills or any of those crazy teams that can absolutely do to us what we've done to the Seahawks.
The Jaguars.
Can't wait to go to that game. That is going to be a great game. I hope they keep winning, and I hope we keep winning. And
that would be a playoff matchup. I can see that happening.
One thing that Ronnie Stanley said this week is that this is the best team he's ever played on, and he feels like they have the best chance to win a Super Bowl of any team he's played on. And that's a big thing to say, especially considering that he was on that 2019 team, you know?
Yeah. We are a more complete team than we were in 2019.
What is so weird is, like, as Ravens fans, we're used to winning a lot, but we're not used to being the best team in the league. Normally, we're like the underdog team that's going to be a dark horse in the playoffs, right? We are, outside of maybe Philadelphia, we're possibly the most complete team in the NFL when we're healthy.
Yeah, and at this point in the season, we're the most complete team, but we're also the most healthy team when you compare us to Philadelphia.
Somehow.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, but
what makes me feel good is that when we have had injury, people have stepped up, and that's because we've had so much injury over the last few years. We're ready for this.
Yeah, and it shows that DaCosta's done a really good job of building depth in our roster so that guys can plug and play right away, and you don't see that big of a drop-off.
Ready to move on to defense?
Yes, I am.
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
dude, Michael Pierce had another good game.
Yeah, I mean, you got to highlight the first thing, 2 turnovers. Is that our first? No, it's not our first game with 2 turnovers. But
no, because Brandon Stevens and Gino had.
Yeah. So back-to-back games then with 2 turnovers. This week we got another Geno Stone interception, like we said earlier, and then we had the Kyle Van Noy strip sack that Broderick Washington recovered.
I'm sorry, what year is it? Was it like 2017? Because Kyle Van Noy is playing like he did on those Patriots teams, man. It's like
Kyle Van Noy already is playing his career best. He's has more sacks through this amount of games than he did in like 15, 16 games with the Patriots in his career high years. So we had 4 total sacks, 2 by Van Noy, 1 by Owe, and 1 by Matabike. Matabike extends his streak of games with sacks now, and it's looking more and more like less likely that he'll be on the Ravens next year because I just don't see us being able to afford him.
Well, here's the thing is we're going to have to choose. We already signed Washington, and then we're going to have to choose between him and Geno Stone.
I think he's already pricing himself out of us being able to even choose him.
Can you franchise tag a player like that?
We can't afford a franchise tag.
What's a DT's franchise tag number?
Around 20 million, I would think.
Oh God, never. Yeah. Well, I wasn't sure. I thought it might have been like a little bit lower, closer to like a safety or a running back. But I guess it makes sense. They are on the D line, so.
I mean, it sucks because you don't ever want to see a player like that's playing at his level leave, and he's a great guy off the field. He's put in the work, but unfortunately, I don't see us outbidding any of, like, even coming close to some of these other teams that have the capital that they do.
Well, but, I will say
I think the biggest person that I think we can re-sign is Patrick Queen. Mm-hmm. Because as good as he's playing, he's not like putting up these sack numbers or something like that, like Justin Matabike is, or he's not putting up the interception numbers like Geno Stone is. You know, he's quietly having a really, really good year.
And both him and Roquan are.
By doing that, I think that allows us to compete and make him a good deal.
Well, I think that he's going to realize how well he's playing and realize that maybe if he doesn't necessarily get the money he wants here, he can still get the success that he knows he wants more than the money. Maybe he values money a little more, and I understand why some players do. I'm never going to fault a player for going and getting their bag, you know? It's just part of the game. But I do feel when you have a defensive coordinator like Mike McDonald, if he's able to stick around and not get snatched up by another team, then people are going to want
big reason for him to stay.
Right. And that kind of ties into what I was going to say. The silver lining with the whole Matabike thing is we have Travis Jones, who is a dog, right behind him, and he's playing in the same scheme. He's playing in the same scheme.
I think Broderick Washington is more in the position that he is. I think Michael Pierce and Travis Jones play the same position at nose tackle.
I'm not going to even lie. Tackles always kind of confuse me a little bit.
So just for everyone out there, basically Michael Pierce and Travis Jones, they play the nose tackle position, which is the guy that's usually head up on the center or in between the guard and the center.
Right.
And then Matabike and Washington, they play the 3 technique in our scheme, which is the outside of the guard. So in between the guard and the tackle. Okay. Now, Matabike has lined up everywhere because he's so diverse. He can line up anywhere, and they don't have an issue with that. But that's another reason why he's going to get paid.
Well, then all we can do now is just win a Super Bowl so that we have another reason for him to stay.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, that's like. I mean, when you have a team like this, you can't keep everyone, so you do have to prioritize. We're going to have a lot of tough decisions to make on defense this offseason. But you know what? It's not the offseason. It's the mid-season, baby. So let's enjoy these wins while we get them.
Enjoy the ride while we got them. All right? So biggest thing, Seattle was 1 for 12 on third down.
Geno Stone looked like he was backing up Russell Wilson still.
Geno Smith,
not Geno Stone. Geno Stone looked like he could beat up Russell Wilson.
And not only that, guess how many yards rushing they had?
Can I guess? I haven't looked. I'm going to guess it's somewhere between 30 and 42.
Wrong. 28 yards rushing.
Really? And they have Kenneth Walker, who is like one of the young.
Kenneth Walker had 9 carries for 16 yards.
That's amazing.
I'd love to see that. They averaged less than 2 yards per carry.
And they are a running offense. That
was the one thing I was scared of. I said if we don't, do anything, we got to stop the run, and we did.
Right. And it was a little intimidating in the first quarter when we were kind of just trading punt for punt, and it felt like maybe they could break the running game the way we did, where you didn't really know. But I think the one thing the Ravens continuously prove to us is as long as they're healthy and they have their players on the field, even when they're not completely healthy, they are not going to break.
We're just winning the line of scrimmage. It's that simple. In the run game, we're stacked all across the front, and it doesn't matter which side you go to, which gap you run to, you're going to run into somebody that's ready to take your head off.
Running against us is like trying to run the ball in Madden. You just can't do it.
This is the best defense in the NFL.
I know.
I know, people say we're the best team. I know for a fact we're the best defense in the NFL right now.
I don't know if you saw this, and I don't know exactly what the stats were, but there was a list of all-time great defenses, and the only other defense above the level that we've been playing at right now, and obviously it's skewed because we're only halfway through the season, is the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. That's the only defense in history that has been putting up better numbers.
But you also got to remember back in those days,
right?
How Hamilton's hits that he had in that Tennessee Titans games, they weren't getting called.
Completely legal. Legal.
It's a different age, so you can't really compare the two. I know it's fun too, but I think it's just a different game.
Well, I'm just saying we're on a historic pace right now.
Yes, for sure. I don't think anything else really has to be said besides that.
No, it doesn't. Did you have anything moving forward to keep an eye on this week?
Defensively, it's just a matter of, Marcus Williams coming back and seeing how we, try to fit him in, but not really other besides that. But just looking at the full picture here, the NFC sucks. I'll say it again. The next 2 weeks are huge for this division race. Right now, we're, right now, if the season ended today, every single team in the AFC North would be in the playoffs.
Right.
So this next 2 weeks, We play Cleveland this Sunday, followed by Cincinnati on the Thursday after.
I think
Both at home. Both
I,
at home.
I think there's no excuse for losing either of those games unless we get injured. We're better than
Both of
them
these
both.
teams are on a win streak.
Yeah, but I don't trust the Browns. Deshaun Watson didn't look very convincing, and now they have to come home. So whether their defense plays well or not doesn't really matter, in my opinion. And we can talk about that more this week. I think we can continue to smother them. I am genuinely concerned about the Bengals. I keep saying it in the group chat. Everyone else is like kind of trying to find reasons as to why they're pretenders. They're not pretenders. I am telling you, the Bengals are the biggest threat to the Ravens in the AFC. Maybe the NFL.
I still think the Chiefs are, but I will say the Bengals are a close second in the AFC. But
I can respect that. I don't agree, but I can respect that.
Actually, you know who I think is in front of the Bengals? I still think Jacksonville's better than the Bengals.
I think that Jacksonville, when their offense clicks, is terrifying. But their offense is kind of like us, where some weeks they show up, some weeks they don't. So I think they're on a similar boat where they're just trying to make sure things stay consistent, but they've been winning a lot lately. I think their they start 0-2 and win 6 straight? Or was it like 1-1 and they're like 6-1 since then or something? I remember they lost to the Chiefs in that weird game, and then since then it's been like a tear. They beat the Bills in London. They swept London. First team to ever sweep London. First team to play in London more than once, but still. Then they came home and absolutely dominated the same way we did. And it's just been no looking back for them either, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, biggest thing I would love to see before the season's over, maybe here soon, I would love to see us re-sign one of these defensive players before the season's over, try to keep them off the market. I don't know. That's just something I'd really like to see here. But I mean, like I said, we got to go 2-0 these next 2 weeks.
No, we got to go 1-0 this week.
Yeah, 1-0 this week, and then 1-0
this
next week, and then that's 2-0, and then we're looking
at
but 9-2.
You know, Lamar isn't even thinking about the Bengals right now.
That's the hardest thing is beating a team twice.
Right.
So it's gonna be harder than it was the first time because these guys have seen us this year. Obviously, I think we were a different team when we did play both of them, both offensively and defensively. Lamar was not as comfortable in the playbook that at that point in the season, and defensively we're and I just think it's just
a Bengals fan had tweeted something after the Bengals win that kind of triggered me a little bit. Because they were saying how we got the Bengals at their worst and they got the Ravens at their best. I do agree we got the Bengals at their worst, but I don't think they were even scratching the surface of the Ravens at their best.
Yeah, and we also didn't have Marlon Humphrey.
Or Ronnie Stanley or Tyler Linderbaum.
Yeah, we beat these guys without a lot of starters.
I think that was the Zay Flowers breakout game, yardage wise, wasn't it?
And we had like a semi-healthy Mark Andrews against I think Cincinnati. We didn't even have a full-on Mark Andrews.
Right. So Bengals fans, no,
I think Odell wasn't Odell hurt for one of the games, maybe the Cleveland or Cincinnati game.
Odell was hurt for Cincy. I think we had just lost J.K. Dobbins. We had just lost Marcus Williams, he wasn't playing.
Bateman was out.
Wasn't that our
worst? What are they talking about?
Wasn't that
all they had was a little semi-hurt Joe Burrow, and that was it.
Right. And they can't even complain about the receivers because that's the game T. Higgins had like 2 touchdowns and 150 yards. So don't come at me with we were at our worst. and we were at our best. No, y'all lost to a better team, and you're going to lose to a better team again. Bengals fans are the worst of the AFC North. They annoy me more than Browns fans because Browns fans legitimately have a reason to be upset. Their team left them, stayed in their division, and won 2 Super Bowls. I would be bitter too. The Steelers get to be cocky. They've won 6 Super Bowls. The Bengals have never done anything. They've made 3 Super Bowls, lost all of them, and won. What was their streak of playoff losses? Like 27 years or something like that? It was something crazy where they made the playoffs and couldn't win.
Mm-hmm.
So like Bengals fans need to sit down, shut up, and earn their stripes.
Yeah.
They really do bug me.
They're just very entitled.
Right. It's like they were booing what was that dude in the AFC Championship game who had that weird late hit out of bounds that probably shouldn't have happened? It was like Oka. It starts with an O.
Ogunjobi.
No, it wasn't Ogunjobi. He's like a third year player now. He's hurt. Either way, his teammates were pretty much shunning him after that, and then like the fans killed him. Maybe not all of them, but definitely some fans that I saw from the Bengals were killing him. It's like.
On a side note, we need the Jets to come back here tonight.
Now I need Breece Hall to not get a single yard for the rest of the night.
It's 14-3 right now. The Chargers took a punt return for a touchdown, and they sacked Joey Bosa, stripped Zach Wilson, and Garrett Wilson fumbled. So the Jets are giving the game away right now offensively. It's not their defense.
That's rough because I don't think the Chargers are really all that.
Yep. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers find a way to lose.
They could. They very well could.
It's only a 2-score game.
We both picked the Jets, didn't we? Or did we both pick the Chargers?
We both picked the Jets.
Okay, that's right. Well, I think that's all I have tonight. Just don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Guys, we're up to 13 subscribers, down from 7 last week.
Ooh.
Episode last week got 500 plus views. So we know you guys are watching us. We love it. We're very thankful. And we just hope that you guys continue to share our work with other Ravens fans so that we can, talk
Spread
about
the word.
Ravens.
Spread the word.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I got. Have a good week this week and go Ravens.
Let's go Ravens. Beat those Browns.